The Vietnam War, especially happening in the southern Vietnam, had reached a new stage. Taking advantage of the incident at Gulf of Tonkin on May 8, 1964, U.S. Air Force starting operating heavy airstrikes toward the north. The seemingly endless battle against Americans, yet more time, one small nation had to face the challenge to defend its people, its freedom, and hopefully another chance to make history.
Bác Hồ có xuống thăm và xem cái máy bay không người lái ở phòng tham mưu của quân chủng phòng không quân. Đến khi về, bác mới nói là trước sau Mỹ cũng sẽ dùng B-52 để mà đánh phá Hà Nội. Các chú nên nhớ là Bắc Triều Tiên trước khi Mỹ ký kết, Mỹ đã dùng bom B-29 hủy diệt Bình Nhưỡng. Do đó Hà Nội của chúng ta phải hết sức sẵn sàng đối phó. Cho nên tên lửa chúng ta có thể bắn rơi B-52. Còn việc bắn như thế nào, bác giao cho
của Mỹ để chuẩn bị đánh vào Hà Nội, Hải Phòng là một lực lượng được chuẩn bị rất chu đáo và với khối lượng không nhỏ. B-52 là không quân chiến lược của đế quốc Mỹ, một trong 4 phương tiện của chiến tranh nguyên tử. Như vậy nó huy động đến 193 chiếc, hết gần 50% của Mỹ, được bố trí trên sân bay Thái Lan, Utapao, và được bố trí ở đảo Guam. Máy bay chiến thuật và các máy bay khác để phục vụ thì xin nói hàng ngàn chiếc. Cái lực lượng ấy đối với ta thì phải nói là một lực lượng nó quá chênh lệch, khó có thể so sánh được. Không có cuộc chiến tranh nào mà lại có cái lực lượng nó chênh lệch đến như thế. Nhưng mà không thể có cái so sánh nào như so sánh trong cuộc chiến tranh giai đoạn cuối của Mỹ đối với Việt Nam.
Chiến tranh có thể kéo dài 5 năm, 10 năm, 20 năm hoặc lâu hơn nữa. Hà Nội, Hải Phòng và một số thành phố, xí nghiệp có thể bị tàn phá. Song nhân dân Việt Nam quyết không sợ.
The Vietnam War, especially happening in the southern Vietnam, had reached a new stage. Taking advantage of the incident at Gulf of Tonkin on May 8, 1964, U.S. Air Force starting operating heavy airstrikes toward the north. Hundreds of factories, mines, and houses were destroyed. However, it did not take the Vietnamese army by surprise. Vietnamese people fought back fearlessly and successfully captured General Alvarez at Ha Long Bay. Alvarez was also the first American pilot who was arrested in northern Vietnam. After his victory, Ho Chi Minh strongly believed that America will be defeated eventually. The enormous sacrifice and the sacrifice of the people boosted the energy and courage for their fellow soldiers to overcome hardship and protect their motherland at all costs. Roads were slippery and muddy. People took down bamboos, even houses, to pave new ways for trucks and artillery. Bridges fell down and bombed people together built other ways for the troops. All of those efforts just to get the troops and heavy artillery to the right destination, Vinh Linh, where most of the B-52 were located and trained. Spending months to study the B-52, Ho Chi Minh decided to send his best technicians into Vinh Linh, the most dangerous zone, to figure out how to take down the bombers. He insisted, if we don't know how to shoot them down, this war will end badly for us. After another few months observing and taking notes, the troops and technicians had in hand their own written 23 pages manual studying B-52. It consisted of critical data and statistics regarding the bombers, such as flying squad information, time, flight principle, bombs per aircraft, flying attitude, drawings, and signal interference. This was the very first official document of Vietnamese Army regarding the B-52 bomber. To avoid intensive resistance for heavy artillery on the ground, B-52 was given order to switch to night bombing, figured that without high-tech equipment, Vietnamese army won't be able to detect planes at night. They were wrong. Acknowledging the change in tactics from its enemy, Vietnam Army ordered all of the remaining fighting jets to all available airports in one closed area, Zone 4, to find ways to shoot down B-52. The best jet pilots were ordered to train at night to become B-52 hunters as soon as the war needed them. Being tested and on the pressure to win the war, forcing Vietnam to sign peace treaty under Americans' terms in the near future, December 14, 1972, President Nixon approved the biggest airstrikes till that point. The target was the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi. With endless supplies of weapons and ammunition equipped with high-end technology of communication and tactics that can beat the enemy with the blink of an eye on paper, they were all under command of President Nixon. On the other side, there existed a group of officers that came from their people. General Vo Nguyen Giap was a high school teacher. People, mostly peasants, were trained naturally through war with the French and had the courage to sacrifice himself at any time and any cost to defeat the enemy. To prepare for the big battle in Hanoi, Vietnam Army only had 2 missile regiments, 8 artillery regiments, 4 Air Force regiments, and 365 small units equipped with artillery and rifles. December 18, 1972, Operation Linebacker 2 began. 7:25 p.m. the same day, Vietnamese Air Force was ordered to set off to fight supporting planes around B-52 bombers. Meanwhile, at this time, groups of B-52 continued bombing different parts of the city, airports. 7:44, SAM, surface-to-air missile, was launched, set off for the ultimate battle between U.S. Air Force and Vietnam Air Force. It had all begun from this very moment. After long nights of battling, along the duty of shooting down the first B-52, one of many battalions took the lead. The Battalion 261 succeeded shooting down one aircraft. Due to battling at night, the battalion could not tell if they hit a B-52 bomber or just another reinforcing jet. At this point, the Army headquarters ordered the troops to go get confirmation.
Không tin, chưa tin là mình bắn rơi đâu. Phải hỏi xem chắc không, vì trước cái 78 bắn không rơi rồi. Lo lắm như vậy không. Võ Công Lạng là trung đoàn phó trung đoàn 257 theo chỉ thị của quân chủng đi lên xác minh xem nó đưa về một cái mẫu của máy bay B-52G và đấm thép và chia tớp có chữ SAC, Strategic Air Command. Thế là biết là đúng rồi mới nói cho ông Tài không biết. Ông mừng lắm. Ở trên kia là nghe vang vọng là cứ hòa lên cái tiếng mừng.
Thủ đô chú ý, hiện nay đã có báo động. Đồng bào cần bình tĩnh và nhanh chóng vào hầm trú ẩn. Các lực lượng vũ trang bảo vệ trị an và phục vụ chiến đấu hãy dũng cảm và kiên quyết làm tròn nhiệm vụ. Tất cả mọi người hãy chấp hành nghiêm chỉnh điều lệ phòng không nhân dân thành phố, góp phần đánh thắng giặc Mỹ xâm lược.
Within those alarm sounds and speaker troops and people in Hanoi not only fight enemy but also getting updates and news. U.S. Army did not want anybody else to know about their defeat. Early morning, December 19th, aircrafts hit every radio stations in the city. The signal went off. Those moments of silence and absence of the news made everyone from southern to northern and people around the world worried and anxious, wondered if Vietnam could have survived the fury. But just after merely 9 minutes, the familiar voice and music on the radio made all those worries vanished.
Đây là tiếng nói Việt Nam.
Chỉ sau 9 phút, giọng nói quen thuộc của người phát thanh viên và nhạc hiệu Đài Tiếng Nói Việt Nam đã làm mọi người thở phào, xua tan mọi lo âu trước đó.
Combined with heavy resistance from Vietnam Air Force, groups of militias fought drastically to drain the enemy's attacking power. When flying towards the city, American called the central part is the fire coordinates, where the heavy artillery and militia were just too many. Defeats after defeats, 2,400 hours, December 24th, 1972. America postponed bombing due to the reason of Christmas celebration, as well as reinforced the Air Force for much heavier airstrikes in upcoming days. Also, it gave them time to adapt, learn mistakes, and figure new ways to infiltrate the resistance network in the city. Meanwhile, in Hanoi, Vietnam government still allowed American prisoners to celebrate Christmas at one local church with the altitude, "We are at war, but we don't screw you over during your holidays." After Christmas, the battle picked up at much more aggressive speed. Missiles and ammunitions were fired everywhere and every time, creating this yellow mesh on the night sky. The Heavy Artillery Battalion 154 shot down a B-52. This is the first B-52 bomber got shot down by heavy artillery. American had been trying to beat the North Vietnam with one knockout, but things got backfired. The event has collapsed, the everlasting belief that B-52 cannot be taken down. Among this tragedy on the other side, Vietnamese people still found themselves within the love of fellowship by singing, sharing stories. Everyone contributed one bit to this victory, not just troops, militia, but every single one of Hanoi people that can carry a rifle. All went to hellfire and made this victory. "7 a.m., December 30th, 1972. Nixon decided to stop the bombing in northern Vietnam and agreed to get back to Paris for peace treaty with Vietnam. The Operation Linebacker II, lasting 12 days, 12 nights completed, failed to meet its objectives. In 12 days, 12 nights, Vietnam Air Force, militia, and peasants has successfully destroyed 81 aircraft in total, including 34 B-52 bombers, 5 F-111, and 40 other aircrafts. The victory is a triumph belonged to every single Vietnamese people. During the war, who would have thought that only with peoples in Quang Binh province, one secret airbase was built to help figuring out ways to destroy the B-52. The victory is the example of what uniting people can do, how military strategy can turn to art to fight against the enemy that can be 100 times bigger and stronger. The support from friends around the world and American people are the critical part building this glory. After the meeting in Paris, National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger was invited to visit Vietnam right after the war.
Kissinger nói một câu thế này. Ông nói rằng tôi nói thật với các anh, nếu các anh chỉ dũng cảm thì chúng tôi thừa sức đè bẹp các anh. Nhưng mà chúng tôi không đè bẹp được là vì các anh vừa dũng cảm lại vừa thông minh.